Hello, everyone. My name is Gary Gomes. I'm a Vedic astrologer located in New Bedford, Massachusetts. I've been president of the Council of Vedic Astrology, and I've been a Vedic astrologer for 35 years, roughly. So I'm here to talk with you about Vedic astrology, what it means in terms of your life, and also what it means in terms of the world, and how it affects and reflects world events. So, if you would like to contact me for readings or for studies, please do so at 508-525-0001. That's my phone number. You can also text me there. And also you can email me at garygomesg@gmail.com. You'll notice, you may notice that I'm stuffy today, but I'm not as raspy as last week. So that's some improvement. And so I feel a bit better. Still not fully recovered, I don't think. And it's mainly congestion now, but that'll pass. Okay, so enough about my personal health issues. Again, I'm just going to ask you if you would be so kind as to join the page, subscribe to the page. Uh, we've exceeded 1,000 members, but I would like to go much higher if we possibly can. And I would also like you to share it with your friends and also share it with people who you might think might be interested in this kind of thing. Um, and if you want to contact me by email, it's Gary Gomes G, my name, the letter G at gmail.com. I am going to try to make this reading a little shorter than uh, previous readings, not because I dislike making long sessions, but I think I'm trying to make them more succinct and more impactful. And so I may be leaving some details out from the monthly horoscopes or from the weekly horoscopes for you guys, but I don't think it'll be anything substantial. Uh, the other thing is I do want to talk about the U.S. chart this week because the U.S. chart, the U.S., at least from a political perspective and from a news perspective, has been really interesting over the past week. That's mainly due to a little thing um, I like to call uh, the Mercury-Mars panic. So I'm going to show you the chart right now. If it goes up, I'll be very happy. It hasn't gone up, so you may see a black screen for a second. I'll try to get it up again. All right, now it's up, it looks like. And so this is the United States chart we have right here. So uh, basically, there are several events that have happened over the past week, so I'm just going to go over those briefly. Um, the ones that were most significant to me were essentially the Epstein files. Um, basically, um, granted access. The Trump administration has 30 days to reveal all its files, and there is some negotiation going on behind the scenes uh, in terms of will they redact, to make the Republicans look better? Will they? But um, but I think by and large, one of the things that I think there was a massive miscalculation, and I'll show you why from the transit chart. Also, uh, I want to look at the major planetary period for the United States right now. And so we'll go back to roughly, um, roughly the election day. calendar, and maybe even back into, I can't remember when the actual government shutdown started, but on the election day itself, we entered a Saturn subperiod, as you see. So from November 3rd of 2025 down here, let's go ahead to the date. Now that's notable to me, so it may not be notable to other people, but it's notable to me in the fact that I've always said Saturn rules the Democratic Party. So and it isn't, I don't view Saturn as an inherently evil planet, but it is. It's agrarian, it's connected with the poor, it's connected with, to a certain extent, with um, landed aristocracy, and also managers. So that kind of fits in perfectly with almost all of the traits the Democratic Party has. Plus, it's an older planet than Jupiter. It rules older things. The Democratic Party is older than the Republican Party by quite a few years, by around 1803 to roughly 1959, sorry, 1859. So it's about 56 years younger, 56 years older, excuse me, than the Republican Party. So this was the party that came first, right? So the Federalists went out of existence, and the Whigs came. The Whigs became the Republicans, basically. So for those of you who don't know U.S. history, sorry to bore you with this stuff. Um, but but basically, so so the Republican Party was always um, pro-business expansion, pro. It was always um, anti-agrarian, and it became associated with anti-slavery um, when certain parts of the party were anti-slave parts, certainly before Lincoln was elected, but Lincoln was, so it became associated with the anti-slave party when Lincoln essentially freed the slaves with the Emancipation, or put in motion the attempt to free the slaves with the Emancipation Proclamation. And again, we all know that the war was fought for a variety of reasons. The Civil War was fought for a variety of reasons, not least of which were Northern tariffs. Northern tariffs were a large part of the war. And so this is something which is kind of reflexive of what's, or kind of reflective, excuse me, of what's going on right now, in that we're having a big debate about tariffs. But the South would refuse to collect tariffs, and it would put a large hole in the Republican industrialization process. So, so essentially, uh, and again, there were other causes as well, but that was like one of the chief economic causes. And the slavery and the pro-slavery, anti-slavery debate had been going on for decades before the Civil War broke out. So you had this, there was one slave state for every free state. So there was like this balance of territories, so that one party wouldn't overwhelm the other. And so and so essentially, slavery was always one of the items on the menu, as a precipitating factor of the Civil War, uh, but it wasn't the sole cause. So so essentially, if you look at the United States, we have this period right here where the Democrats seem to be striking back. Now, interestingly enough, if we look at the chart, so Saturn's in the 10th house, it's in Mercury's sign of Virgo, and Mercury is located in the 8th house. So there will be always be a certain amount of subterfuge connected with this party. There's a lot of subterfuge connected with the Republican Party because the Lord of uh, Jupiter's located in Gemini, and Mercury is with Rahu in the eighth house. So, especially in the late 1800s, when the Republican Party was expansionist, that is, they were uh, trying to conquer new territories and things like that, the press worked for them. Uh, right now, the Democratic Party seems to have uh, at least a lot of support in the mainstream press. And and but that Rahu with Mercury also indicates both parties use the press to sensationalize their positions. This is not all that unusual, but I'm just telling you what the chart says. Um, the other thing is, so we had, so November 4th, we had that election where it was treated like a huge Democratic victory, and it was, but it wasn't a surprising victory. Most of the states in which they gained or they won were largely blue states, so it wasn't like, oh my God, it's an upset. That's really not true at all. But again, this particular faction over here can be, they'll make news. It's not really in the interest of news media to say, oh, this is pretty much what we expected. Is It's supposed to be a surprise. It's supposed to be a shocker. It's supposed to be a cliffhanger. And I think the United States does that very successfully. Also, the fact that Rahu is with Mercury tends to show there are interests outside of communication which control that particular part of our society. Uh, so news is not meant to inform, it's meant to manipulate, no matter which side of the alley you're on. So, so essentially what happened over the past week or so was there was this, so Trump reversed his position when it looked obvious that he was losing support for keeping the Epstein files um, away. And that was during the K2 subperiod or the Venus subperiod. So that would make sense because Venus is in Trump's 12th house, so he would exceed. So that's when the reversal took place during this Venus subperiod. And Venus is a planet connected with truth, enlightenment, and along with Jupiter in this chart, it forms a very strong combo. Now, what's been happening since November 15th to November 16th? Basically, we had the release around that time. Let's move the dates forward. But the other thing that was interesting was we found out that Delegate Plaskett was talking with Epstein during a committee hearing after Epstein had been um, found guilty of a crime. So there were actual text records of her in discussion with Epstein in 2019, and there was a move to censure her, and it was defeated. So and also there were we had some disgrace come to the Democrats because of Larry Summers being having to pull back his influence. Larry Summers was a former, I think, Secretary of the Treasury, and he was also a Harvard president, and he was connected with the Clinton, and I think also partially with the Obama administration. So it's been an interesting week. The other thing that happened was we did have, so let's pull the days back just a little bit. The other thing that happened this week was we had uh, a Democratic commercial telling, um, encouraging the military to resist what were illegal or unconstitutional commands from the commander in chief. We had the president strike back and say this is treasonous and is punishable by death, basically. And I'm not laughing at the comment, but I'm just saying I don't think this is something that Trump really meant. You know, but he is a hyperbolic kind of an individual, so it's just going to be like, okay, well, um, and that happened around the, that would have been just in this Mars subperiod over here. So let's go back one day. So there was a lot of fighting between, essentially between November 18th and November 19th. And Rahu, right now, there's a lot of panic because of what he said. Okay, so that's the inflammation. Rahu is the panic monger. Uh, it's lasting up until the 23rd. Everybody's calming down. And yesterday we had Marjorie Taylor Greene announced she wasn't going to run for her seat in Georgia because she was afraid she was going to lose. And Trump had already, because she had crossed Trump earlier on, Trump was already backing a challenger to her. So it's been an interesting week. It's been really what I would call a week of fighting and uh, extraordinary political theater going on. So that's why I want to focus on it. Also, I haven't mentioned all the court cases that have been um, decided essentially. So most have been decided in favor of the Democrats. A few have been decided in favor of the Republicans. But I think one of the things we were looking at is you see where this Mercury is right now. Mercury just moved into Libra. So up until yesterday, uh, Mercury was in the same sign with Mars. And as I've told you many times before, Mercury with Mars is sort of it's a nasty combination for political backstabbing, lying, misrepresentation. And that's what we saw over the entire week. Uh, just I did have, excuse me, people call me up just incredibly upset about the way things weren't evolving the way they thought they were going to evolve, or logically thought they were going to evolve. And also people being upset about friendships and being upset about relationships, etc., etc. And that's mainly because of this Mercury-Mars conjunction. The other thing is Jupiter also over the past week and a half turned retrograde. So that'll give essentially setbacks towards direct paths of action. And Saturn has been retrograde, but it's slowing down because it's about to go direct. So Mercury is starting to slow down just a little bit, but Saturn is really starting to slow down because Saturn takes more time to come out of retrogression or moving backwards in the sky as opposed to the sun, as opposed to forwards in the sky as seen from the Earth, because it's a slower moving planet. And the theory behind retrogression, or essentially what they call retrogression retrogression to stationary direct to direct is the stationary direct planets become very powerful. And why is that? Well, it's really pretty simple. It's like let's say you're you're moving at a fast clip, and all of a sudden you can slow down and see what's in front of you, and you're able to fix your gaze on what's in front of you. That's what happens when a retrograde planet, from the perspective of the Earth, seems to turn around and go direct. So essentially, a longer stare is maintained. You can recognize the obstacles or the opportunities much more clearly. And interestingly enough, Jupiter's aspecting that Saturn right now, and that stationary, and Jupiter just left a stationary direct position to go retrograde, and Saturn's about to move from a stationary direct position to go, or from a retrograde position to go direct. So essentially, what does that mean to people in the world? Well, basically, one of the things that's happening is Saturn will tend to slow down the economy a little bit. So that this has been coming for a couple of months. But basically, there have been real estate prices collapsing, or not collapsing, or real estate foreclosures increasing in various states. And lenders have become more cautious because of that. So um, people may see credit cards canceled if they seem to be overextended. People may find more difficulty selling houses over the next few months, and that's mainly because of that Saturn retrograde. Okay. Now, for things in which you're investing in long term, so in general, I've been saying it's not a good time to buy things over the past few months. That's one of the reasons I've been saying that. And essentially, what it does to politics is, because Saturn is retrograde, it's making us much more paranoid about our opponents. And this is especially true uh, with the Democrats. So there was essentially, when the extension was passed, which is only going to last for until January 30th, if I recall correctly. So the continuing resolution was passed. A lot of Democrats looked and said, "Well, this is a betrayal. And they wanted to hurt the people who went against them." Jupiter retrograde affected the Republicans as well, because essentially you had the party bucking its leader in um, bringing the Epstein files to the public. So both parties are experiencing some internal strife based upon their assumptions. Interestingly enough, the leaders have been talking with each other a little bit more, because the Jupiter retrograde will tend to do that. So you had Mamdani talk with Trump, and so Mamdani says, still think he's a fascist and an authoritarian, but I'll work with him. So so it's so it so it's and Trump said he wished Mamdani the best of luck. So I think that the diplomatic sheen is still there right now, because the Democrats are still diminished in power. although that's slipping away a little bit with the Marjorie Taylor Greene um, vote or departure. Um, but 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 basically, both parties are hitting what I would call tipping points in their popular support. The Democrats are still at a 26% approval rating. Now the Republicans aren't doing radically better, but compared to the Democrats, they're doing markedly better. And I think it's mainly because Jupiter is closer to favorable signs. Saturn is not close to a favorable sign. It won't be for another 5 years or so. Now, that doesn't mean a Democrat can't win in 2026 or 2028. But as Saturn moves closer to Aries, it gets weaker. So this is one of the interesting longer term forecasts. I don't think the Democrats are going to recover for about another 5 years, if I'm honest with you. And I think you value me being honest with you. The Republicans are sliding back, but I think by the middle of 2026, you'll see them recover kind of strongly. Now, I could be wrong about this. This is something that I have to be careful about because there could be some kind of scandal connected with the Republicans because we do have K2 in the House of leadership, or there could be some kind of a health problem to President Trump. You know, uh, it- all those things are possibilities from this chart. But but actually, I think at least from the chart we're seeing right now, the one thing I can count on pretty strongly is the economy will start to look a little bit more feeble than it does right now. You will see interest rates drop maybe in December, maybe in January. And also you will see more, unfortunately, more political violence, especially after February, but even before then. And I think one of the other interesting facets that came out is we're learning more about the identity of um, the Trump assassin, uh, the uh, the alleged Trump assassin from July of 2024, and also some more about his background. They are actually finding evidence, um, and also more evidence about previous uh, Democratic administrations. Now, how far those things will go is largely going to be up to the courts. But the next few months could see some reversal in the courts for Republicans because of the Jupiter retrograde. But again, most of what they want to do will probably stay as is because we're entering. But let me just go back to that's a now chart. Let me just go ahead to swap the U.S. chart back again. So between November 26th, I would say, and um, we have a Rahu Mercury subperiod for about until March of 2026. So be prepared to see a lot of lying, a lot of misrepresentation in the press over the next couple of months. I hate to say that, but that's really what I'm seeing. Um, and also misrepresentation from corporate officials. You'll also see some attempts to usurp more power. So this will be rather interesting to look at. The K2 subperiod between December 16th and December 24th, you'll see some more scandals come out, but this will be connected with the Democrats, not with the Republicans. Uh, And after December 24th, you'll see a slight comeback for the Republicans, just because of the Jupiter-Venus conjunction. Uh, but but ba but basically, it looks interesting to me because of the chart right now. There's a lot of fear, a lot of panic about possible changes. There's a lot of panic about changing government because Rahu's over on Moon, and that'll stay there for about another year, and eventually that will fade out. But this Jupiter backwards motion, this Jupiter retrograde, will be fascinating to watch because there'll be about, I would say, around 4 to 5 months of uncertainty about the country's direction. And, or it'll feel either a little too aggressive or there'll be some fallbacks from ground that has been gained by either party. So, so this will be an interesting period. I'm not seeing anything like a dictatorship happening in the U.S. chart. Uh, Definitely not over the next 4 years. Um, and I'm just looking and seeing if there's anything else I should tell you about this chart in terms of the next week. More air catastrophes. That's kind of like not a big surprise. Um, more potential earthquakes because of Saturn being in a water sign. A lot of so yeah, Saturn's with Neptune. I don't use the outer planets, but Neptune is the god of earthquakes in uh, Roman mythology. Neptune or Poseidon is the god of earthquakes and horses. And um, let's see now, he's a deity connected with those things. And you'll also see more political scandals, especially coming up over the next, especially in December. Okay. So, um, and also some lies about the economy and some lies um, about real estate, especially because, and also I would tend to say, given the United States, um, being in Arahu Mahadasha, this can give some expansionary interests like Venezuela or uh, Canada, but I'm not seeing us invading Canada or necessarily invading Venezuela. This looks more like a covert operation, but there will also be covert operations to take down the presidency. So just be aware that that's coming. Um, the the six senators uh, um, coming on and telling troops that they shouldn't feel compelled to um, obey um, illegal orders uh, could be setting the groundwork for a coup. So, so that's a little bit. So I'm being overly melodramatic today, uh, but that's how it struck me. Uh, so, so again, people have to be careful what they say, careful what they advocate for, um, or what maybe wise is more of a way to say it because I believe in free speech. I believe in the right of people to express what they want to express. But really, that was extraordinary. I've never seen anything like that um, in my entire life as a United States citizen, and I've been around for 70 years. I did see some similar things happening, um, but on a more individual level, like people resisting the draft in the 1960s. And like I said, this is a period which I think is very similar to the 1960s, early 1970s. So I'll stop it right there. Let me just take a quick look at um, Let's take a look at India. Oh yeah, there was somebody who got into trouble for taking down. These are like little things which may not be particularly relevant but for taking down a group poster because the student council had voted against the group being formed, and the principal looked and said there was no other school district in his state that was allowing student councils to approve or disapprove student organizations. So he just the student who ripped the poster down was suspended. So I think you'll see. So I think what you'll start seeing is this push and pull, this more active push and pull, more publicized push and pull between people on one side of the political fence. And I think the polarization will hit an extreme this summertime, this coming summertime, or actually as early as February. So, now looking at India, India has some problems in terms of its presentation to the world, in terms of speech. Um, K2 is in the second house. That's not necessarily a bad signification by itself. But Mars with K2 there could be some land scandals and some political scandals coming up within the next month or so in India. And let me just look at China quickly. I don't know if I have Germany here. I'm kind of curious as what's happening in Germany. England, I already know there's a large um, movement against the current prime minister. So, and the elections were not good to him. So, and, and some people are seeking uh, his are seeking to unseat him as the party leader. So, but that's a little bit tough to do. Um, all right, so this is China, my China. Mercury Mahadasha, Mercury K2 Sun. Okay, so they're lying to a lot of people. Okay, just factually, that's what that combination means. They're making up stories. They're pretending things are far better than they are. So that's something to keep in mind with China. China is not, they're a big economy, so it's going to be very tough for them to fail. But China is um, sinking, and there may be some attempts to either politically bully their rivals into submission or um, take them out. And let's see, no, let's see if I can find Germany. One second. Just out of just curious about Germany. And I don't think I have it. Okay, so West Germany. No, I don't. Do I have the European Union? I did have it at one point. I guess not. I'll make sure I have this for next week. I don't want to spend too much time there. Let me just see. Do I have it on here? I don't think so. Hold on. Let's see. All right. So we're not going to look all over the place for that. But Europe is in a bit of a mess right now. It's not going to all of a sudden spring back and and restore itself. Uh, one, co- Two countries that are essentially trying to make um, some improvements are Italy and Poland. And I want to look at Iran for just one second. I haven't looked at Israel for a while. I don't, but I don't think I have it in my database. But, yeah, so Iran is in a state of uncertainty right now. Um, at least until November 30th. And it may see some internal strife between November 30th and December 21st. And it's in a Venus subperiod, so there could be some calls for reform in Iran over the next few months. Okay, so but that'll take a little while. That'll probably take until, uh, at least from this chart, February 2nd at the earliest, and probably not completely reformed until, see where the moon is. Moon's in Taurus. Probably not completely reformed until late 2027. And I just want to look at Israel, see if I have Israel. I probably don't. So I apologize for putting you on this path. Israel, I do have Israel. Okay, so this is Israel. Israel has been, okay, so Mars in the 12th house can give a steady state of war. Not always, but it can give a steady state of war. First house Lord is in the third house along with, or he's in the second house along with K2. And so there will be attempts to cover up in Israel's part. And again, probably more attacks starting in uh, early December and proceeding really for about the next couple of months. Will the peace hold? Oh, I want to look at Ukraine and Russia. So for Israel, probably not a stable peace until at least I would say optimistically July. Um, but let's go to want to go to one more country. I want to go to Ukraine. If I have it in here, I think I do, because there is a peace initiative um, that was established. Kyiv. Why can't I pull up Kyiv? Why? There we are. There was a peace initiative that was brokered by the White House, but there's a complaint that it's rewarding aggression. Jupiter Mars subperiod coming up December 25th. It looks to me like the peace initiative will stick for about, it should stick around December 25th, at least from the chart. I want to look at Russia. Oh, just quickly. Do I have it? Yes, I have Russia. Okay, so Russia is, yeah, Russia's kind of burned out from this. I don't think they want to fight anymore. Um, so at least from this chart right now, between November 11th and December 9th, they still have a lot of energy left. I think after December 9th, they'll probably um, have a desire to call it quits. Okay, so I think this will hold at least optimistically. I'm guardedly optimistic that it'll hold. And let's switch back to the main birth chart so I can give you what's going on in your actual horoscopes for this week. Okay? So I'm planning to finish this up by, yeah, it's around 1:34 my time. I'm trying to finish this up by 2 o'clock my time. So we'll see if I can do that. All right. So for Aries, we have um, Saturn in the 12th, a lot of expenses. Jupiter's in the fourth house. A lot of optimism at home, a lot more desires, a lot more gains, and a lot more pressure to buy new things, especially within about a week or so. We have Mercury and Venus in the seventh house, so communications with spouse will improve or become a little bit more favorable over the next week or so. And that won't last long, but it'll last at least temporarily. Mars and Sun are in the eighth house. Not a good time for new relationships for Aries. Uh, but again, this isn't a bad placement. Venus within about 4 days will pass into um, Scorpio, so you'll see more sexual tension connected with the sign, more sexual energy connected with most people, to be honest with you. Moon is in the ninth house, so this indicates change of luck or improved luck for Aries, and that's Aries is from April 15th to May 15th, and Rahu is in the 11th house, so potential gains from work. So overall, this is not a bad week. Just try to watch the expenditures and try to stay out of new long-term relationships, uh, especially romantic relationships. For Taurus, Taurus is May 15th to June 15th. We have no plans in the first house. A lot of focus on health and on restoring and on improving oneself for the sign. Jupiter's in the third house, will soon be in the second house, so the sign should be expecting to see some new money coming into it relatively shortly, within about a month or so. And K2's in the fourth house, so this can give some obstructions or some needs for auto repairs or home repairs. Mars is in the seventh house. Again, not a good time for new relationships for this particular sign. You should be careful about new business dealings as well. And Moon is in the eighth house, so the sign will seem very attractive or very approachable during the sub period. Rahu's in the 10th. Career life will seem a little bit unfulfilling. And Saturn's in the 11th, so good potential for gains, for financial gains, but not really uh, satisfying. For Gemini, Gemini is June 15th through July 15th, and the Lord of the first house is in the fifth house, so it will give good luck to the sign, better relationships with children, especially, and maybe children will break some bad habits or be easier to get along with. Uh, Jupiter is in the second house, good for some financial gain. And as a matter of fact, Gemini will seem to be very lucky in relationships next over the next month or so, and it will form new partnerships. K2 is in the third house. This sign is brave, it's forceful, it's going to try to make itself prosper over the next few weeks. And the Mercury Venus conjunction is very good in the fifth house. So that indicates luck in terms of finances and also in terms of career. Um, Mars and Sun are in the sixth house. This is a good placement for financial advancement and also improvement of overcoming long-term obstacles. Moon is in the seventh house. It can give some change in relationship life over the next week or so, and also maybe some fluctuation in that area. Saturn is in the 10th house, aspecting the moon, so people will be a little bit averse to trying new relationships. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think some caution is encouraged during this period in terms of relationships. But career life, the person will be working very hard to make only a little bit of progress, but that'll start to change by the end of the month. Excuse me. And for Cancer, Cancer lasts from July 15th to August 15th, or this could be Cancer moon or Cancer rising in the Vedic chart. Jupiter's in the first house. This is a good placement for overall luck for the sign. Good for overcoming obstacles. The Lord, there's an exchange of signs between the Lord of the first and the sixth. So this sign will be focused a great deal on self-improvement this particular week and also this month. K2 is in the second house. This sign can be misunderstood by its colleagues and by its peers, and it can even lead to some eating disorders if you're not careful, or some overindulgences if you're not careful. Mercury and Venus are in the fourth house, very good for financial gains. Uh, Mars and Sun are in the fifth house, so this is not necessarily a bad placement. This is the Lord of the second house in the fifth house, which is kind of a wealth-producing combination, along with the Lord of the uh, 10th house and the fifth house in its own sign. So that actually does create a great deal of financial luck for Cancer this month. Rahu's in the eighth house. Again, you have to watch out for deceitful people around you. And Saturn's in the ninth house. Slow progress, but steady progress is the word for Cancer this particular week. For Leo, Leo has K2 in the first house. It can make this, so Leo's August 15th to September 15th in Vedic astrology, or again, rising or moon sign Leo. This is Trump's rising sign, by the way. And I'll look at some of the other prominent politicians, I promise you, over the next few weeks. Okay? But K2 is in the first house, and this can make this sign overly sensitive and also a little bit, but also more open to things than it normally is, more willing to consider new options or new possibilities. So actually, that's probably good for Leo. And there's not as much of a need to be right when K2 passes through Leo, because essentially, just in general terms, when K2 passes through Leo, people are looking for leadership to change. They're looking for leadership to either be kicked out or to take different attitudes and postures. Mercury and Venus are in the third house. It can give some diplomatic skills to the sign. Sun and Mars are in the fourth house. This is a good combination for forming property partnerships, but not necessarily long-term business partnerships or long-term relationship partnerships. Moon is in the fifth house. That indicates a change, but the individual will have to be willing to lose something in order to gain something. Jupiter, Lord of the fifth, is in the 12th house. So again, it's that same theme of loss in order to gain. Rahu's in the seventh house. Relationship partner will seem to be difficult or difficult to please. Saturn's in the eighth house. Some difficulty from established or embedded interests. And we have no other planets in the sign except for Jupiter, which is in the 12th house, which is good for saving money. For Virgo, Virgo has no planets in it. Virgo goes from September 15th to October 15th. Yeah, but we have Mercury and Venus in the second house. So that's good for financial growth for the sign. Mars and Sun are in the third house. Again, good for increased um, influence, increased willingness to fight. Moon is in the fourth house. Some change of residence or some change of career or status. Saturn is in the seventh house. Relationship partners will seem to be a little bit slow or sluggish or resistant to change. Jupiter's in the 11th house. Good for financial gains for Virgo. K2 in the 12th. Good for spiritual life for this sign, but these two don't necessarily contradict. So you can have a period where you're actually making some good money for 1 week, but you also have a lot more interest in spiritual life. That's possible. For a Libra, Libra is October 15th to November 15th, or people with Sun or Moon in Libra, and I'm sorry, people with Moon or Rising sign in Libra, my apologies. And that Mercury Venus is a good conjunction. It combines the Lord of the eighth with the 12th, so it can bring some financial losses, but also some gains of knowledge and some gains of influence. And it also rules the ninth house and the first house. So it actually makes this sign somewhat lucky over the next few weeks. Mars and Sun are in conjunction in the second house. This is a powerful wealth-producing combination. Um, and this sign should see some increase in financial progress over the next month or so. Moon is in the third house. This is not a bad placement. Over the past day or so, it was a little bit rough because essentially people felt like they were dragged down or hurt. Saturn is aspecting that sign, but there's a willingness to rebuild with this particular sign placement. Rahu is in the fifth house. Good for financial gains, good for luck in attaining what you want, but you won't feel satisfied with attaining what you want, unfortunately. Saturn is in the sixth house. So Saturn's in the sixth house. There's some definite health issues, but also connected with stomach and perhaps heart, but also, at least from this chart, um, some willingness to work on yourself, even if it's tough. Jupiter's in the 10th house of career. That should make career life go much, much better for this sign. Now, this combination won't come back after about 2 weeks. It won't come back until June, but you'll see um, the seeds of what you're planting now starting to manifest within about 5 months' time. For Scorpio, Scorpio has, this is November 15th to December 15th. Scorpio has Sun and Mars in the first house. That's a powerful combination for financial success and career success. Jupiter's aspecting this particular sign, so that makes it stronger for career life. Moon is in the second house as Lord of the ninth, so it should again be a good month financially for Scorpio. Saturn, Rahu is in the fourth house, so this can indicate some dissatisfaction or a need to renew home or home life. Saturn's in the fifth house. Not a good time for romantic involvements. Focus more on work. Seventh house Lord is um, Venus, located in the 12th house. So this can indicate some financial problems connected with relationship partners. Eighth house Lord is in the 12th house. Good for gain through insight or careful analysis. So this is a good combination for Scorpio. Jupiter in the ninth house, we've already discussed. K2's in the 10th house. Not a lot of career recognition, but that's not as important right now as the financial growth possibility in this sign. For Sagittarius, Sagittarius has Moon in the first house. So there's a change in direction in this sign. Jupiter's in the uh, eighth house and so this indicates a time of personal transformation for Sagittarius. Um, yeah, Yamagata and Pluto are in the second house, so that does indicate potential for longer term financial gains. Rahu's in the third house, strong desire for this chart, especially in terms of increasing its independence or financial success. Saturn's in the fourth house, aspecting the first house. So over the next couple of years, it will seem like a tough period for Sagittarius because of that Saturn aspect on the first house. It won't always be there. Jupiter is going to be aspecting the first house within a couple of weeks. But again, this sign will feel increased pressure to get things done, to accomplish things. Jupiter in the eighth, new insight into spiritual life or um, metaphysical life. Ketu's in the ninth. Good luck if you follow your instincts. Not so good if you try to plan things out too carefully. Mercury and Venus are in the 11th house. That's a good combination for financial growth. And Mars and Sun are in the 12th house. Stay out of new long-term relationships. Um, and some expenses because of the government. For Capricorn, that's January 15th to February 15th. We have Moon in the 12th house, and that can give some financial problems because of a relationship partner. And relationship partner will be overly optimistic because of Jupiter in the seventh house. Rahu's in the second house, so again, strong desire for gain, strong desire for innovation. Saturn is in the third house. This is good for financial growth, but and also determination. Jupiter, we've already spoken about in the seventh house. Good for potentially new business partnerships. And finally, we have Mercury and Venus together in the 10th house of career, good for career growth, and Mars and Sun good in the 11th house for financial growth, especially through property. I didn't mention K2 in the 8th house, so there may be some unexpected drawbacks or flaws in terms of investments. So people involved in crypto, uh, the market I believe went down over the other day, and so this is I I wouldn't recommend getting involved in highly speculative investments for at least another year because K2 will tend to crash them out. Okay, that's just my personal recommendation, not as a financial advisor, but as an astrologer. Um, okay, so let's go to Aquarius. Aquarius is that's February 15th to March 15th. Yep, that's right. And Saturn's in the second house. So Rahu can make the sign very dissatisfied with what it has, even if it has a lot. Saturn's in the second house. It can make this sign feel cut off or financially uh, trapped. Jupiter's in the sixth house. If Jupiter's in the sixth house and it's exalted, good potential for using your own personal skills to overcome obstacles. So put a lot more effort into yourself and you'll be rewarded handsomely. K2's in the seventh house, some disagreements or alienation from a relationship partner. Um, Not really serious, I wouldn't say, but definitely a possibility. Uh, Ninth house has Mercury and Venus in it. That's a great Raj Yoga or special combination for Aquarius rising. It gives luck, wealth, and career success. Um, Mars and Sun are in the 10th house. Good for career success, especially through a relationship partner. Moon is in the 11th house. Good for financial gains for Aquarius this week. For Pisces, last but not least, Pisces has um, Saturn in the first house, so there'll be a lot of pressure on Pisces. Career-wise, it'll feel a lot of pressure, a lot of uh, increased um, responsibility. Rahu's in the 12th house. Again, you have to be careful about spending impulsively, Pisces. And Jupiter's in the fifth house. So that does give good overall luck to this sign. It gives good career luck. It helps out the first house as well. So even though things are tough, you're confident you can succeed. K2 is in the sixth house. You have to watch out for illnesses connected with the stomach and the intestines and also the kidneys. Mercury and Venus are in the eighth house. There can be some urinary or elimination problems for this sign as well. All of that's good. That does indicate good luck in terms of financial gains from unexpected sources. Sun and Mars are in the ninth house. That's good for growth for this particular planet, or for this particular sign, excuse me. And it will bring some extra money in and also some extra financial independence in. Moon is in the 10th house, aspected by Saturn, so there won't be a feeling of a lot of progress this week, maybe towards the end of the week, or early next week. You'll experience some financial growth. Rahu, again, in the 12th house, don't spend a lot. So let's move to the time and space chart. Okay, we're going to expand this. And let's see what we can do. We're going to close this. All right, so as I told you before, there are some problems with land and mineral properties in both Hawaii and in Alaska and in Western Canada. Um, there's some potential for land disputes or even violence in Hawaii, to be truthful. Um, but hopefully that doesn't happen. The moon is passing up over Washington State into the central districts in Canada, which are unhappy with the Canadian government. And um, you're also seeing Jupiter going through California. So this indicates new emphasis on court proceedings for those areas of the world, all the way through Nevada up to Montana and into Alberta and Saskatchewan. So you will see increased government control in Mexico, um, and New Mexico, and as far west as Arizona and Utah. So this will be an interesting time and also affecting, but there will be increased financial growth in Arizona and New Mexico and all the way up to Montana and Idaho, excuse me. The sun line is going through Texas, Mexico, and like I said, more government control of those areas. Mars, people in Wisconsin, Indiana, and down, down through Mississippi should probably watch out for increased violence all the way down into Nicaragua. So that's a little bit of a cautionary note, or accidents, or fires. Um, we have a Rahu line passing through, um, looks like Ohio and down into West Virginia and down into Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. So there can be some governmental scandals or some panics in those parts of the country and up through Canada, also in Cuba as well. So Florida isn't exempt from that, as I said before. Um, we have a Saturn line going through Massachusetts and just tipping into Cuba and tipping into Venezuela and close to Haiti. So there can be some financial or environmental hardships in this part of the United States, much up into Ottawa, up into, excuse me, Quebec, and all the way down into Cuba, Venezuela, and Peru. We have a moon line going through Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil, and also perhaps Guyana. Uh, and but this could also represent flooding or difficult weather, especially in Buenos Aires and all the way up through Guyana. There's a Jupiter line running through Brazil, so Jupiter should be see an expansionary mode, but also more court cases. We have a Sun line passing close to Azores, and a Mercury line and a Venus line passing close to there. So there'll be more government involvement in the Azores, uh, but not necessarily negative government involvement. We have a Mars line running through Ghana and into oh gosh, Morocco and down close, and maybe some disruption or war in close to Nigeria and um, close to Algeria and Libya. Um, France and England and Germany and Sweden are not immune from those phenomena as well. So I don't think it's going to be war, but I think there's going to be a lot of civil unrest in that part of the world. It'll be part of a continuing pattern that we've seen for the past few months, because the people of Europe are not really happy with what's been going on over the past few years. There is a Jupiter line. There will be some more contested elections and also contested um, laws in Turkey, Egypt, and down through Eastern Africa, down through Chad and in Eastern Africa. I believe that's Chad, and also potentially some potential reforms in Saudi Arabia because of that proximity to Saudi Arabia. There aren't a lot of lines between indicating interference with Russia and Ukraine right now. There is, I need to move these bars over. There is a Venus Moon conjunction, a Venus Mercury conjunction happening in Afghanistan, um, and Pakistan, and also in far western India. So what that usually means is we're going to be hearing more reporting out of there, maybe some more stories of floods or economic problems. And the sun line is passing through central India. So we're going to see the government take charge in areas which seem to be getting out of control. Eastern India has a Rahu line going through it, or really quite adjacent to it, and a Mars line. So there can be some kind of a conflict or some kind of a civil unrest happening in that part of the world, over in near Bengal, but also near Ladakh and Bangladesh. And let's see now, there's a Saturn line running through um, Cambodia, Laos, and close to Vietnam. So there should be some economic downturns there, and also through Indonesia. And it also affects China as well, and Russia. There's a moon line running through eastern China, down through Borneo, down through Western Australia. Um, Trying to think of how to explain this. This combination will give increased difficulty um, with the economies of that part of the world, and also with the moon, you'll see some increased civil unrest and perhaps potentially hazardous rainfall happening in China, near Taiwan, and Korea looks uninvolved, but Jupiter is running through Japan, which indicates the reassertion of more traditional beliefs for Japan and Australia. And there are Venus and Mercury lines running through Eastern Australia, and that to me indicates again more focus on their economy, more focus on prosperity. And what's this line running through? It looks like a moon line running through New Zealand, so this can indicate another change in government for New Zealand. So that's it for this week. Again, I'm delighted you could join me. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all a really wonderful Thanksgiving for those of you who celebrate in the United States and in other parts of the world. And for those of you who don't, just have a wonderful week and blessings to you and your families. And I love you all. Thank you very much for watching and have a great week and a great holiday if you celebrate. Bye bye, everyone. I'm going to go to full screen. Bye, everyone. Have a great week. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to ring the bell, subscribe, like, comment, share. It all helps. Thank you, folks.